Hello and welcome to the Night Watch. So I've got some good news for the Philippines. This is breaking news just out recently. So essentially the ambassador for Russia to the Philippines just announced that Russia has a vaccine that they're claiming is safe and effective and will have regulatory approval in Russia by mid-August, which is basically about a week from now. And so once that is finished, Russia is prepared to share it with the Philippines under three different scenarios. And those scenarios, the first scenario is if the Philippines deems it necessary to run clinical trials, then Russia will provide what is needed for that process to begin for clinical trials. Now, as we know with clinical trials, that does take some time. There's quite a bit of testing. That is definitely the gold standard in terms of being safe and ensuring that the vaccine does more help than harm, and to make sure there aren't allergic reactions and to make sure that it's effective and so on. So clinical trials are really the gold standard in vaccines. Normally that is something that's done. The question is, in a disaster situation as we face, does it make sense to skip those clinical trials? So Russia offered that as one option if the Philippines deems it necessary for clinical trials. The second option is Russia is ready now, once they receive regulatory approval, to begin distributing the vaccine directly to the Philippines, which would be manufactured in Russia, sent to the Philippines. And the third option, which is the recommended option, it seems, from Russia through the ambassador, is to have the vaccine produced locally in the Philippines with the help of Russia. So all three scenarios are on the table. The fastest scenario seems to be having Russia distribute it directly to the Philippines. So it's quite interesting. It's quite encouraging. So hoping that that is truly a safe and effective vaccine. And if that is the case, then we'll see which of the three options the Philippines selects, assuming one of those options is selected, whether it will be straight to the public from Russia, produced in Russia, exported to the Philippines, whether it will be clinical trials first. Clinical trials probably would take 2 or 3 months, so that's nothing that's immediate, but it would be in process on kind of a fast-track clinical trial process, I'm sure. So that would be another option. The fastest way to get everyone vaccinated would be to trust the vaccine and have it distributed direct from Russia to the Philippines. The slowest way would be clinical trials, and kind of in the middle of the road would be have it produced within the Philippines, and Russia would help with that. So that's quite interesting. So that is the first country that I am aware of in the world that has announced that they do have a vaccine that's already complete, that's safe and effective, and that is ready for regulatory approval within a week. So it seems that America may have been first to the moon, Russia may be first to the vaccine, and that is a huge accomplishment. So let's hope this all checks out. This is just breaking news, so there is quite a bit of confirmation and verification that will need to happen with the vaccine, of course. But it's very, very encouraging, because as we realize the Philippines and really the entire world has been devastated by the pandemic, and the Philippines right now is essentially in a state of recession, as was announced a few days ago, and things are pretty tough. And right now the Philippines is the number one country in Southeast Asia in terms of the number of active cases and total cases. The Philippines just surpassed Indonesia, which is close to triple the size. So right now the virus is really surging in the Philippines, so it sure would be a great time to have a vaccine. Now, this doesn't mean that you'll have a vaccine next week. It probably will take a few months before this can possibly be produced and distributed and shipped and implemented. And when you can imagine 100 million people, what percentage of those will seek the vaccine? Hopefully most, if not all. That's a lot of vaccines to administer. So the whole process would take quite some time. But the good news is we're on the verge of an option from Russia to the Philippines of a vaccine being available. Now, I'm assuming Russia will offer the vaccine to other countries as well, most likely those that Russia views as a partner of sorts. And so other countries and viewers, wherever you are, hopefully this will open up more opportunities. I know that there are quite a few different vaccines being worked on around the world, and hopefully we'll have more good news from other countries and from pharmaceutical companies around the world with vaccines wherever you may be. But this at least helps to show, assuming that Russia's vaccine is truly safe and effective, this helps to show, and this should be huge encouragement, that there is a vaccine that is possible because Russia's claiming they have it. And so this means that labs around the world, pharmaceutical companies around the world, countries around the world should be able to arrive at the same conclusion: a safe and effective vaccine. If Russia's done it, that means it can be done. And if it can be done, then it can be done globally. And that means that there is a solution to this pandemic, and that solution is a vaccine, and that vaccine is just around the corner. So great news for the Philippines, great news really globally for everyone, wherever you are. It just essentially validates that there's a way to fix this. There's a way to make a vaccine that does work. So I'll keep you posted on any more updates on this topic. And it's great news. I'm sure it'll be in world news before long if it's not already. And we'll watch this play out. But by essentially August 15th, we're expecting regulatory approval in Russia. After that, we're expecting decisions in the Philippines as far as which of those three paths will be taken: clinical trials, or straight to market from Russia, or produced within the Philippines, or all three simultaneously. So we'll keep you posted on that. Great news for everybody. Stay very safe right now wherever you are, because right now there is no vaccine available today. You don't want to catch the virus. You want to get vaccinated. And once you have the virus, it's really too late for the vaccine, because you've already caught the virus and your body's already creating antibodies on your own. So really, this is the time to be careful, as safe as you possibly can. Don't catch it now. Skip those optional things that you don't really have to do that might put you at high risk right now. The virus is surging amongst younger people globally right now, and that's, the World Health Organization claims, that is based on essentially behaviors such as social gatherings and other elements. And so there's just a big surge amongst the younger population. So please, everybody, be a bit more patient. If you can just wait weeks, a month or two, we're getting closer to a solution. Get that vaccine and then go back to normal life. That's the hope. So let's hope this all checks out. It sure looks good. Please take a moment to click subscribe, the bell and all, so notifications are turned on, so that you'll know when we have new episodes and breaking news. And I will keep you updated. Thank you so much. Take care. Wish you the best. Stay safe. Goodbye.